Good evening, everyone. So beautiful, so wonderful to see all of you here to help us start this concert season at the German Park. That was a beautiful park and a beautiful setting. Tonight, if you were an attendant at past Heritage Fest, this may bring back some memories because much of our music, if not almost all of it, stems from music that we received from those great bands from Germany. Our first number salutes that beautiful area with a very great number titled Von Egerland aus Moldawstrand. Here it is. Thank you very much. Also, Bamable, that was from Bamable. Matter of fact, when we organized our band, we wanted to keep alive those beautiful sounds that were brought to us by bands from Austria and Germany and that area. But we also wanted to keep alive those great, beautiful, unique sounds for which New Ulm became worldwide famous. One of the bands that played around the country and was known around the country, probably the most widely known band ever to come out of Minnesota was the Whoopi John Band. I was in Washington, D.C. one day at the USO and sat down with a bunch of servicemen and where are you from? I said, New Ulm, Minnesota. Never heard of it. I went over to the jukebox and I played two numbers, a nickel apiece, and they were both by Whoopi John. And when I got back to the table, they said, we know that music, we love it. they were from the South Pacific. The USO had recorded Whoopi John music and it was played worldwide. Here is the Barbara Polka, one of Whoopi John's favorites, titled after his mother. Thank you. Thank you very much. Heartache is something that you understand, but in German the word is Herzschmerz. What a beautiful title for our next number. Here it is, Heartache.
Wenn einer klagt, wenn einer sagt, die Welt ist voll Probleme, lag ich nicht aus und sag, der Krieg. Nur ja nichts steht nehmen, wenn alles andere grad so geht. Wenn einer klagt, wenn einer sagt, die Welt ist voll Probleme, lag ich jetzt aus und sag, es Krieg. Nur ja nichts mit dich nehmen, weil alles anderes gar so klar. Herzschmerz und dies und das, ach, das ist so alt. Kuss, Schluss und Satz hat was, das kennt jeder toll. Denn seit mehr als 1000 Jahre hat jeder Ball erfahren kann's oder lieber, dann kann mit durchs Leben gehen. Und da hier so kleiner reuer Mann fällt immer ein aufs Neue lieb. war ja Liebe, die ist immer wieder schön. Herzschmerz und dies und das, das ist uralt. Kuss, Schluss und sag noch was, das kennt jeder voll. Denn seit hier auf 1000 Jahren hat ein jedem bald erfahren Angst oder Liebe, man kann sich das Leben gehen. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Great job. And by the way, let's give Heidi another round of applause. She's the one who has the sound system here. This is an all-volunteer organization, and she furnishes that, no charge. Thank you so much. Our next number, something that we learned from the bands that came here from Germany. It's a custom in the German areas. When they sit at a table or a bar and listen to music, and it's the right kind of music, they lock arms and they sway with the music. And it's called Schunkeling. And so our next number is titled Schunkel Parade. And so if you would like to join us in a German fashion, that would be fantastic. Anyway, here's Heidi going to do Schunkel Parade.
Da wo die Grünheit ist, Chris, wo man bietet, grüß Gott, die Grüß, liegt meine schöne Stadt, ihr ein Lächeln die hat, was für uns billig und gut, wir werden so zerbrüht, schön sind Tröpfen, na Wein, aber schützt jetzt da ein. Schön steht ein Hofbräuhaus, 1, 2, Zufall. Läuft so manche fressen aus, 1, 2, Zufall. So manche brave Mann, 1, 2, Zufall. Zeit, was besser getragen, schon früher ganz heran, und spät des Abends uns im Haus, in schönes die Hofbräuhaus. Schön sind die Liebe im Hafen, schön sind die Liebe zu sehen. Einmal im Hafen zu schlafen, sagt meine Kette schön sind der Mädels im Hafen, treut sind nicht aber neu, auch mit den Fürsten und Grafen, tauschen wir Jungs ahoi, wir kommen alle in weil wir so brav sind, weil wir so brav sind, dass sie selbst das Peters ein. Sagt euch bloß gern heim, warte für den schönen Einladung heim.
Thank you, Heidi. Beautiful job on the Schunkel Parade. whenever we happen to get together to play at a beautiful, a beautiful place like this, we also always miss those who are no longer with us. But there are three of us who founded this organization still around. And one of them was our good pastor, who was our leader spiritually. But he also had some funny stories at times. And so I'm going to ask him to come up here and maybe preach to you just a little bit. Reverend Del Bigalka.
Thank you, Denny. I reached the stage, sad to say, where I shouldn't try to play anymore. I played with this band for 38 years. I'm one of the original members. And I got to the stage where, because of age and health, I should sack it up.
How you doing?
So anyway, Denny asked me to tell a story or two. I do know a few. And one is about Ole, our friend, lived down by the river. And across the river lived a fellow named Clarence. And they didn't get along. And Ole would go down to the river and he'd see Clarence across the river and he'd say, "One of these days I'm going to come over and punch your nose." But he didn't, because he couldn't get across the river. Well, as it went, the county built a new bridge across the river. And Ole's wife said to him, "Why don't you go over now that new bridge and punch Clarence in the nose like you always wanted?" And he said, "By golly, I'm going to do it." And he went, and pretty soon he came right back. And she said, "Well, did you punch Clarence in the nose like you always wanted?" He said, "No." He said, "I was going over that new bridge, and there was a sign up above that said clearance, 13.5 feet. I didn't know he was that big." Well, I'm struck a sound of that. Anyway, there were these three preachers. Being a preacher, I can tell stories about other preachers. And they were in a boat fishing. And they were talking, and one of the preachers said, "You know, I hate to tell you this, fellas, but he said, I have a weakness for strong drink. So every once in a while, I go out to another town and really hang one on." The other preacher said, "Fellas, I really hate to tell you this, but he said, I have a weakness for ladies. So every once in a while, I go to another town, see what I can pick up." The third preacher said, "I really hate to tell you this, fellas." He said, "But I have a weakness for gossip." Well, Ole was, thank you. Ole was a town businessman and quite prosperous, and he liked to ride around town with a moped. You know, that's a little motorcycle-like thing, doesn't go real fast. And he wore old clothes so people wouldn't know him. He wore a plaid shirt and old overalls and red suspenders. And one day he was driving around in town and he saw a fella drive by with a Ferrari, which is a real expensive sports car. The guy stopped. He was going to go to a restroom, and Ole was there, and Ole was very interested in this Ferrari, so the guy said, "Don't you touch it." He said, "That's a very expensive car, just let it alone." And the guy went to the restroom, and when he come back, here was Ole inside the Ferrari, pulling everything, turning everything, and the guy was upset. And he went over there and he pulled Ole out of the car, jumped in the car, slammed the door, and drove off. And as he's driving, he sees this fella behind him coming with this moped, and he is really coming. And zoom, and he passed him. And he thought, wow, has he got that thing canned up? And pretty soon, zoom back by the other way. And then here he came again. So the guy stopped and said, "What in the world is going on here? What's this zoom, zoom, zoom business?" And Ole said, "Am I ever glad you stopped? I had my suspenders caught in your door." Thank you very much, folks. Thanks for the applause. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dale. Great to hear those stories. As I mentioned earlier, one of our goals was to not only keep alive those beautiful sounds from those great bands from Germany and Austria, but also those great sounds from many of the bands that made New Ulm famous. The late Slivers DeWans put together a medley titled Theme Song Medley. And we would like to do that for you now. We call it a theme song medley.
Okay. Sometimes I work till 2 and then sometimes till 4.
Okay. Cool.
In the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was the Eddie Wilford Band with their theme song, Beautiful Youth. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the renowned Babe Wagner Band, featuring his brother Swede Wagner, with their theme song, The Midnight Waltz. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, the Emil Dumpy Domeyer Band and their theme song, Es war in Bimmerbaum. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, the honorary mayor of Goostown, Fred Fritchie, and his Goostown Band, what else? The Immigrants Waltz. Thank you, and there you have our salute to four beautiful bands, no longer with us, but we want to keep that beautiful sound alive. Thank you. Continuing on with saluting local bands of the past, the one that was most widely traveled was the Six Fat Dutchman Band. They were almost as well known in parts of Texas as they were in Minnesota and also in Canada. But anyway, Harold Liffelmacher, the founder and head of the Six Fat Dutchmen, and they were more than six. They weren't all fast, they weren't all Dutchmen, but that's what they called themselves. And here it is, the Dutchman's Waltz. That is really great. Even the railroad is applauding that number. Then another great long band. Again, no longer with us, but I mentioned them earlier that they probably were the most widely known band outside of Minnesota, and that's Moby John. His mother, as I mentioned earlier, Barbara, bought him some instruments, as did his grandmother. He brought him his first button accordion, Maria. And therefore his theme song is the Maurikian Waltz. And here it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. In the 1930s, when I was growing up, well, sort of, one of the most popular, everyone's song in German was "Du du nicht mehr im Herzen." You lie in my heart. And of course, it is a beautiful German song. And of course, we had Slivers do a rendition of that, a copy of it, and we're going to have Heidi do the vocal. Here it is, "Du du nicht mehr im Herzen."
Du liegst mir am Herzen, du liegst mir am Sinn, du magst mir verschmerzen, weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Du weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Du weißt nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. So wie ich der Liebe, so Liebe auch mich, die seligsten Triebe für dich, allein nur für dich. Ja, für dich, allein nur für dich. Ja, für dich, allein nur für dich. Und wenn in der Ferne mir dein Bild erscheint, dann wünsch ich so gerne, dass uns der Liebe vereint. Ja, dass uns der Liebe vereint. Ja, dass uns der Liebe vereint. Thank you.
Thank you very much. History tells us that as much as 40% of the early settlers in our beautiful city of New Ulm came from a beautiful area in Europe called Bohemia, and that is in the present-day Czech Republic. The capital of that area is a beautiful city called Prague. And recently I visited with some tourists who visited there, and they said it is the most beautiful city they had ever seen. And of course that's understandable because somebody way back when wrote a number, Shane's Prague, and so we'd like to play it for you now. Beautiful Prague. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful number and a beautiful city of Prague. And of course, that's in the area of Egeland. Egeland is a part of today's Czech Republic. And they played music there by heart. There was a American writer by the name of Charles Seelfeld who toured that area of Europe in the 1850s. And he said when he got to the Egeland area, the people were all playing all kinds of instruments, but not one of them read music. They just picked up an instrument and played it. And maybe that is where some of our music tradition comes from. I believe there could be. Anyway, we're going to do a number now called Egeland Heimatland, or Egeland, My Homeland.
Liebest du so schön, mögt ich einmal heut mal wiedersehen, in deine Felder und Wälder und ein grünes Tal. Egeland, Heimatland, grüßt dich tausendmal. Egeland, Heimatland, liebest du so schön, mögt ich einmal heut mal wiedersehen, in deine Felder und Wälder und ein grünes Tal. Egeland, Heimatland, grüßt dich tausendmal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Egeland, Heimatland, my homeland. Before I introduce our next number, I would like to introduce you to another one of our original members, Bill Rasmussen. He joined us way back in 1985 with his father, Cliff, who played the tuba. But anyway, he came all the way from St. Peter all these years. Let's give Bill a big hand, because that's a lot of dedication. Thank you so much. And the other founder, and probably one most responsible for being able to interpret this German music that I had collected and put it into a format that could be played by our American instruments. And that is the late Leroy Slivers Dewans. One day he told me that he's got this melody running through his head. And he thought he would probably put it down on paper in the form of music. And he did, and what you're going to hear now is those beautiful sounds that were going through Slivers' mind. The Linwood Waltz. Here it is.
I know you're getting there, Elmer.
Thank you very much. Those were the sounds that were going through Slivers' beautiful mind. I might just mention that we also had a very generous sponsor. By sponsor, that meant keeping us watered and beer fed. The B&L Bar was the generous donor for many years for whatever beer and water we needed. So thank you to them. Our next number, thank you. Next number, So Klingt aus Bremen. These are sounds from Bohemia. Here it is. Thank you very much. Sad to let you know that recently New Ulm lost a very generous lady, Barbara Harrelson, who was the one who purchased that beautiful angel fountain and is responsible for a good share of the money needed to build those seats that you're in. So we're going to miss her. But anyway, our next number salutes a band that came from Germany and told us this is the most popular march right now in Germany. And it's called the Dorser. We're going to do it for you now. Thank you very much. We have one more before we close the program for the evening. And it's a polka. It's called the Hydrant. It also was a very popular number in Germany and also. So here is our version of the Hydrant. Thank you very much. Before we say Auf Wiedersehen, I think we ought to give these volunteers, these great musicians here, a standing round of applause because they've been doing this for 38 years, not 39 years. Thank you very much. And you're well deserved. I'm glad you enjoyed our music, and we're going to read one final Auf Wiedersehen for you. Here it is.
Auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, bleib nicht so lang hier vor, denn ohne dich war's halb so schwer, darauf hast du mein Wort. Auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, das eine, glaube mir, nachher wird es not mehr so schwer. Das Wiedersehen mit dir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Great to see you and have a good trip home.